All right, welcome to the pod at My Village.
Where we're going to have fun talking all things My Village Ministries, family preservation, and the church's involvement in this important work. Welcome to round 3.
Round 3, we're Phil and Mel, the co-directors of My Village Ministries. We know nothing about running a podcast, but a little bit about family preservation.
Mel, how's your weekend?
Busy. I took your daughter, my daughter, and 2 other girls to Cedar Point all day Sunday, and we trained all day Saturday. It was busy. I'm tired.
How many moments did you have, just a glimmer of hatred towards the kids?
No hatred. A lot of 12 and 13-year-olds do not make good decisions. One of the girls forgot her purse 3 or 4 times until finally we never found it again.
Yes.
So someone at Cedar Point has her purse. And I don't think they would have ridden more than 1 roller coaster if I hadn't helped them with time management. Just the meandering, herding cats mentality of we have all day to get in these 75-minute lines.
Did your daughter want to do this, or did you kind of selfishly push her towards it because you selfishly wanted to?
I actually rode 0 roller coasters.
Wow.
Yeah. I held the water bottles.
You got some work done?
Yeah, I did get some work done. Wrote a speech. Sitting on the floor next to a roller coaster with my laptop. No, Lyra's 13th birthday, that was her desire that was her present from us, was paying for all the tickets and all the food while we were there. And we had a super good time. I was actually really proud of them. They were for 4 12 and 13-year-olds, they were consistently cheerful and kind to each other all day.
That is a minor miracle.
It really is.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been to an all-day amusement park experience with kids or teenagers or adults where they remained cheerful all day. There was no afternoon lag where you kind of start being rude to each other.
Yeah.
And I just was really proud of their friendships. They spoke
awesome.
very positively about the other girlfriends that they have that weren't there.
Praise the Lord.
They're really uplifting to each other. I praised Lyra the whole way home after we dropped everyone off. Just very impressed with those friendships they're building.
That's awesome.
So it was a blessing.
That's great. That's encouraging.
How was your weekend?
It was above average. We had a training on Saturday.
Yep.
A good training, I believe, and had fun with my 2 youngest boys. Went to an undisclosed location that I will not tell you because I do not want it to be overpopulated with too many people.
So selfish of you, Phil.
But we went kayaking to this special island, lived it up there.
Wow. Special island?
It is a special island.
Did you name it Special Island?
No, it's actually Moss Island,
okay.
affectionately known in the Krause household.
We have Shell Island that no one knows about but the Marshalls, at least in our
That's
minds.
not in Ohio, though. Shell?
No, it is.
Wow.
They're little...
Clams, like old clam shells.
I don't know what they are.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about nature.
No,
Don't
that's
ask
fair.
me questions. Okay, so are you ready for my first question for you?
I am.
All right. I'm already nervous that your questions are going to be better than mine, but this is what I came up with. When you go to the zoo, which animal are you actually pretty excited to go see?
Oh, the seals, no brainer.
The seals, like the new sea lion thing?
Sea lion.
Okay. Why do you like them?
They're just always doing something. Where you could be going somewhere and you're just watching them sleep.
Yeah. All the animals are
uneventful.
sleeping except the seals.
No, you can always count on a seal swimming. So
That's true.
yeah.
Well played.
Yeah. Question 1: if you had to be deserted on a deserted island with one of our current staff people, who would it be?
So unfair
And why?
because 3 of them are in this room.
Well, that doesn't mean you like them less or more. It's just you got to think strategically.
That's true.
You're going to be stranded for at least a month together
Okay.
before any chance of
You're going to have to edit
rescue.
out 25 minutes of me thinking and pondering about my answer. I feel like the right answer is Allie Watson.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Because she's not a complainer. She'd be cheerful. She's an Enneagram 1, so anything that we do or build on the island, she would do it right.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good answer.
She would micromanage me, so I'd have to take that into account. She would tell me all the things I was doing wrong.
Yeah.
No, she's very positive. We love you, Alex.
But she would be thinking those things.
She would.
Yeah.
She'd be like,
She'd refrain from saying anything.
That wasn't how I built
Yeah.
tent.
She's fixing it in the middle of the night while you're
Yeah.
sleeping. And then
Just
she
to be,
encourages
so
you in the morning,
kind.
wow, it really held up
Yeah,
well.
I'm like, wow, I didn't even remember building that.
But yeah,
Yeah, Allie Watson.
that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Who's the last person?
That's a question
Yeah,
for
we'll
another
answer
podcast
that.
day.
Yeah, when the cameras are off.
It's Ben. Ben just would run away from me.
Yeah. Just.
He somehow like gets off the island but doesn't let me know.
Oh yeah. He forgets that you're there actually. He remembers it like 2 weeks later. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I don't know how to transition now to a more serious question. Mine is only like semi-serious, so it'll be a good like bridge to your 9.2.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. When you were a kid or an adult, what was a thing that you thought about heaven that you like really hope is true? That's not in the Bible at all. So like it could be we can fly or something like that. So it's not in the Bible, but you like really hope it's true.
Oh, for sure. It kind of similarly that you could to flying is that you could just do like you could ride animals. I remember thinking that like a giant eagle, a lion, things like that.
Is that from like the old pictures that was like the lion and the lamb laying next to
I
each
don't
other?
know where that came from. I just
What
unlike
animal?
you, I am an animal fan. And,
That's true. I
yeah.
am animal adjacent.
Yeah. So it'd be that. That's the first thing that came
What
to mind.
animal would you?
Oh yeah, for sure. It'd be actually a cheetah would probably be the number one. It is my favorite animal to be able to go that
I think they
fast.
structurally could carry an adult.
No, in heaven
In
they
heaven
can.
they
Yeah,
can.
yeah.
Would their speed be impeded in any way, heavenly?
Who knows? That's a good question.
I do enjoy that both your answers ended up in the animal realm.
Yeah,
I knew the first one would.
yeah.
Second one was a surprise.
All right, my better question for you
It is so much better. I'm sure.
no, that was actually a really good question. What is the greatest lesson you've learned from being in the work of family preservation with My Village Ministries?
Gosh, the greatest lesson. After this, I will think of like 8 more that maybe are greater.
What's the one that stands out to you right now, currently?
I feel like it has to be something in the area of how fundamentally it has changed me to watch these women fight for their kids. Men too, mostly women. I think that even in college, I didn't really have a concept of, and I think this is common in the world, but like how somebody ends up in this type of situation. I was talking to a friend, another soccer mom the other day, and she was like, I don't really understand foster care or why anyone ends up in it. And now that I've been in this work so long, that's like blowing your mind. Like, well, yeah, let me tell you all the ways. Like I'm seeing it happen all the time. But when I was in college, I sat in this class where they were talking about a single mom going from stable to homelessness in like a 2-month period. And she had a medically fragile kid. Her husband had left them, medically fragile kid. The kid kept needing to like stay home from school or daycare for various reasons. And she lost her job the first month. And the second month, she lost her house because they were evicted. And it was like so fast and just really blew my mind because my family had walked through really hard financial stuff with bankruptcy and job loss. And we had a season of time where we were like living in my grandparents' basement, lived in shared housing with my aunt and uncle, a 1-bedroom house with 11 of us living in it.
It's enjoyable.
So enjoyable. But we weren't ever homeless because we had this family structure around us. And so I think growing in my understanding of what a parent is really facing sometimes when they're all by themselves has really fundamentally changed me. It's changed my gratitude for my community and the people around me. It's changed my focus as a parent and like making sure that we're embedded in community, that people know us, know our story. We know other people's stories so we can help each other when we walk through hard times. So it's been this relationship to almost like a whole section of the world that I never would have known if I hadn't entered this work, that has then changed my perspective on who the Father is for us, who the church can be in this world. I just don't know if I would have had that opportunity if I hadn't started hosting with My Village. So I'm super thankful for it.
Good answer.
But again, I'll think of like other things later that I wish I would have said. Super exciting today because we are going to talk about our origin story. And for those who don't know, I was adjacent to the origin story. I was looking for a way to serve vulnerable kids and families and ended up getting to host the first kid here in Central Ohio. but I was not there when it was being dreamed of, thought of, pursued, when first conversations were happening. And so we are privileged to have Lori Neff and Mandy Litsky here to share alongside you. You guys were the three who were like, let's do it. So I can't wait to talk to you guys about how you met each other, how you got started, what were the first convos like. So we are excited to welcome them. Okay, we are here with Mandy Litsky, Lori Neff, Phil Kraus. These are the three original members of Child Hosting here in Columbus, Ohio. And we are going to get to hear all about how it started. So again, I shared in the intro that I kind of had this like side view of this whole story, but you guys are going to spill the beans for as long as it takes to do so on how it got started, what those first convos looked like, and anything funny you can think of to share about Phil Kraus.
How long is this?
So will you, let's see, I'm going to start, because I really want to get started on the story of how it got launched with Phil, but I would love for each of you to share who you are and like how you were prepped before Phil came to you. Like what had God already done on your heart to get it stirring in this way? So Mandy, do you want to go first? Because I think you have been praying about it the longest.
Yeah. I had heard about family preservation and just the benefits and the way that it could change lives and the trajectory of lives for some time. And I just began, I knew the Lord had put that desire in my heart, especially being a former foster youth. And I just began praying that something like that would come to Columbus. And I started praying and then looked like there was going to be some possibilities of the Lord opening doors and those would close. And then just the Lord just kept reminding me, I put that desire in your heart and just to keep praying. So I just kept praying. And so 13 years later, someone said, hey, there's this guy, and I think he's really going to be able to start, something like what you've been praying for family preservation, to wrap around families in crisis. And I was like, sweet. And they're like, there's this interest meeting. And so I went.
And the rest is history.
And the rest is history. Yeah.
Why did it, you don't have to get too far into your story if you don't want, but why was it such a heavy burden on your heart that family preservation would be pursued in your city? Because 13 years of praying something is no joke.
Yeah. I'm alluded to that I'm former foster youth, and so there were circumstances in my own family. My mother remarried after who I believe was my father, but he basically deserted us and said either terminate this pregnancy or I walk. And when he walked, that left my birth mom and with 2 children and one on the way, poor, unable to support us. And what I believe was not a second marriage derived by love, but out of desperation. She remarried. And unfortunately, the vices that he brought into our home would be detrimental and eventually take my mother's life. And so that's what led me to become a ward of the state and enter in foster care system. And when I heard what family preservation does, it was almost like this revelation, and it was like, wait a minute. Had there been someone or a group of people or a church ready to step in and be the community to my mom and support her, she may have never felt desperate in that need to make such a rash decision to remarry. And so, though I know God writes the best stories and he wastes nothing, just knowing that that could have been an option for her just opened my eyes, and God just birthed something in my heart that this was, something to pursue and fight for.
Yeah. I mean, praise the Lord, like for all that work that he did on your heart, and then for all that work that he did with you in prayer for 13 years.
I'm honored.
Yeah. So Lori, let's transition to you. Like what was Lord doing in your heart, and what kind of seasons had he taken you through to get to this point where you think you were ready? I'm going to let Phil tell in a second, like what it was like, how he picked you, how he got started. But I want to hear first, like, so that we have a good idea of how you two were sitting ready and waiting for what God had for you.
Well, Phil convinced me to do pretty much anything, so it probably didn't take a whole lot. It was like one conversation. I was like, oh, sure, sounds good. I mean, my parents were missionaries, and we hosted vulnerable street kids for a season in our home. And when I was in middle school, and I was like, I don't want to do this. And then saw kids go from hoarding food, stealing things from our home, to pretty quickly just like normalizing in our home and being like, oh, I trust someone to have food every day. And so I watched like from that end, and it wasn't quite family preservation, but still caring for hurting kids. So I watched that from my parents at a young age and was involved in that at a young age. And then probably like most like leading up to coming on board was I worked at a social enterprise that helped people coming out of hard backgrounds get employment. And so, like, when I think about family preservation, I think about, man, I was walking alongside all these parents, which I don't think I really had a heart for. I really even understood how to have a heart for until I was working there and recognized, like, man, they have a lot of their own trauma and have been through a lot. And I was in a sweet place where I got to share the gospel. I got to help them have basic life skills and, like, watch them grow. And many of them had already lost their kids, and there was no sense of being able to get their kids back at that point in time. And so I think the Lord was just like stirring my heart for more of the whole family than kids were easy to jump on board with. I don't know if I should say this, but lived with the Krauses when they first started fostering. And so I was adjacent to that story too, watching their heart for parents as well. And so I think that like all of those things together really gave me a heart for like, man, this is like the work of the Lord. And this is something we, the church, should be involved in. And so it felt like an easy yes, even though I questioned a little bit. I fake quit my job like a month before Phil asked me, which I kind of regret, but you know. But yeah, so I feel like I was like already ready to say yes.
Yeah, so encouraging to hear how God is like preparing both of you. Phil, you shared a little bit in our first time together just how the Lord prepared your heart for this moment. So this question is really more about some of the practicals. Like, how did you become aware that family preservation was a thing? And like, what's step one then? Who did you talk to? Who was alongside you during that? Because you invited them into this, right?
Yeah.
So what did that look like for you?
Yeah, so as was stated in a previous podcast, my wife and I got involved with foster care 10, 11 years ago now. And it was really through our experience there that really led us, my wife and myself, to think about what's a different alternative to caring for vulnerable families. And actually, it was in 2015, my wife reached out, Erin, she reached out to a Safe Families chapter in Cleveland and talked to a guy by the name of Tom Sora, just to kind of entertain the idea of what this could look like, to understand it, learn a little bit more about it. And actually, when we were living in Chicago, we had some friends that were doing it as well. So we kind of became familiar with Safe Families then. And then again, my wife reached out in 2015 to that chapter in Cleveland. Just again, entertaining idea of what this could look like.
Yeah.
And then as we continue to have more experience in foster care, it was in spring of 2016 where I realized that someone's got to do this. And without going into too many details of this, I've communicated this before. My desire to get at that point a Safe Families chapter started in Central Ohio was like a 60-40, 70-30 breakdown. What I mean by that is 60 to 70% of my desire to see it started here in Central Ohio was a passion I had for it, a passion and a burden.
Sure.
But 30 to 40% of it was just a kind of an act of obedience. And those numbers are a little bit arbitrary, but I say that all to say, I really do feel like the Lord gave me a moment in me wrestling with him on this, of me essentially saying, like it says in Isaiah, here I am, send me.
Yeah.
Like something needs to change. Something needs to be different in how it is that we're serving families upstream to the foster care system, upstream from the neglect and abuse here in Central Ohio. And so really, in so many ways, this may sound like I'm I'm arrogant in me telling this story, but really I feel like I'm riding the coattails of many others. And someone just had to be willing to say yes. I'm willing to just take the risk to see this started. And I think that obedience to yes, I saw God's just really just show up in a lot of different ways. And so what then I practically did is I reached back out to Tom in 2016, and he said, hey, I just don't think we have the margin to help you out. And he directed me to Cincinnati. In hindsight 2020, not to get into too much of the details, that was the right fit in a million different reasons. Nothing against the chapter in Cleveland, but the Lord knew.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll get into some of those details later, but got connected with a guy by the name of Chris Combs, who is now since gone to be with the Lord. But praise the Lord for Chris. Because he, man, the amount of times I drove down to interrupt them in the year of 2016 is obnoxious. And that just willing to serve me in whatever ways that I needed to be served, to be helped out with, help me understand what this could look like. And so I spent a lot of time down in Cincinnati observing what that chapter of Safe Families was doing. And then after I felt pretty confident that the Lord wanted me to take the next step, I set up an interest meeting where I just tried to network with as many people as I knew that I could that would be at least interested in hearing about starting this kind of child hosting model in Central Ohio. And Chris Combs came up to be a part of that and communicated a lot of what that looked like. And I think there was roughly 20 people there. Mandy was the last one to show up, actually.
Must have been traffic.
Couldn't find a way through the parking lot.
There was some construction.
Yeah, correct.
I couldn't find the room. They were in the bottom
it was
room.
in the middle of summer. It was kind of wild.
So how did you get those 20 people there, though?
To be honest, I don't really remember.
I feel like it was a lot of word of mouth.
It was just a lot of word of mouth. I just
Because
tried to
somehow
connect.
Mandy heard about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think even, I'm not on social media. I think my wife posted something on Facebook at the time and just try to connect with whoever and anyone that would be willing to hear. And we had heard that there was efforts in the past from other churches that were trying to get it launched. So I think, if I remember right, I reached out to some of those people saying, hey, do you know of anyone that would be interested? And I think it was kind of a little bit of a ripple effect from there. But yeah, Mandy was the last one to show up, and praise the Lord that she did. But I remember sitting in that circle. I remember, like, I had everyone just kind of shared their story as to why they're there. And I heard countless stories that were similar to Mandy, were like just years of experience and degrees and letters behind their names, and thinking, man, I'm not the right person. And I remember saying that to that circle of people that, man, it does make sense that I'm the right person, but I'm willing. And if you trust me in the hard work that I'm willing to put in and the prayers of many, I think God's going to do something special in this city through child hosting. And those were some of the initial steps that we took.
Yeah. It's really crazy hearing you talk about it now, because I think as you and I have tried to pursue growing chapters in new areas, we've reflected a lot on, like, why did it work for you? Like, what? And so you've shared that with me before, the obedience percentage versus the passion percentage. And just this idea of willingness and even some of the things you guys are sharing that led you to that room, what happened in Cleveland and Cincinnati, there isn't anything formulaic about kingdom growth. Like, man, the Lord just brings the right people. He sets up the right circumstances and time. And it just, like, reinvigorates me in this idea that we need to be passionately praying that God would bring workers for the harvest field. People who are willing to say, we're willing. We don't know what we're doing, but yes. That is what's going to change the world. And I know that's like a different soapbox to get on, but I just appreciate hearing you again say, I don't know why I said yes. I just did. Like, the Lord like gave me that last 40%. To make this happen. That's really
one thing I would say, and I really am thankful for, this is going to sound like I'm knocking Cincinnati, but where they messed up. Because I remember the biggest thing that stood out to me in visiting Cincinnati is that they failed in the piece of church engagement, in the ways that they acknowledge that hey, we have fallen short in engaging the church holistically and in a robust way to really make this as effective as it could be. And that stuck with me.
Yeah.
And it continues to stick with me. And I think this is, as I reflect on my life, I think looking in the rearview mirror, you're able to see how God's at work in so many different ways. And I'm thankful for that. And in the ways that he's established our steps. But one thing that I get really excited about that I don't know if I could have necessarily put into words then, but I know is true today. That actually one of the things I'm most excited about with this ministry is that I love seeing the church do its thing. And I could not be able to put it as eloquently then as I could now. But it is a teed up opportunity for the church to be the hands and feet in the ways that he desires. And I got really excited in learning that there is a really unique opportunity with this child hosting family preservation work to actually engage whole churches to care for isolated families. Again, that's the demographic we serve, is isolated families in crisis. And the churches have a lot of healthy communities. A lot of local churches have a lot of strong communities that should be introduced to the lonely.
Yeah.
And I was really excited, and I continue to stay super excited about just teeing up opportunities and equipping the church in whatever ways we can to serve those that really need to be loved.
Yeah. Do you feel like you had seen any glimpses of the church being the church for you and your wife as you walked through your first foster care journey, and that showed you like it could be more if we put a model in place? Or was there a gap that you're like, man, this really needs filled? I feel lonely in my church doing this.
Yeah, I did to some degree, but I'm never a person. Yeah, I don't wrestle with that stuff too much. And overall, our church did a really great and supported us from the jump. We actually, I remember, and what's your name? Lori helped out a lot with this. We actually had at what's the park there in Bexley? Jeffrey Park. Remember that?
Yeah.
We hosted like this, almost like a interest meeting for our church to understand this work of foster care that we were going to get into.
Yeah.
And I was overwhelmed by how many people showed up.
there.
There was at least 50 people from a church of 200.
Yeah.
And where we had not even been going there that long, showed up to say, I want to support you in these efforts.
When I would say Awaken was closer to 125, 150.
Probably, yeah.
So
No,
even bigger.
it's probably at least a third of the
Yeah.
people showed up to just support us and to hear what it is that we're wanting to do through foster care. So
Yeah. Yeah, you guys led well there. I mean, you did not isolate yourselves.
Yeah.
You invited the church into it. But I just wondered how that piece then played into it, wanting to see the whole
I mean,
church
I
at
think
work.
probably more in a positive way. I think I'm biased, but as three of us that attend Awaken Church, I think they know how to do community well.
Yeah.
And they step up when people need help.
Yeah.
And I just saw that that added that was fueling the fire of like, the church can do this. I learned that a lot of people were drowning, a lot of foster families were drowning in foster care because of the lack of support. I'm like, no, this can take place.
Yeah.
We just have to stand firm on what church engagement looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
And if I could add to that, I would just say along that lines, even as foster youth, the saying, it's caught, not taught. Our church wrapped around our family because my parents had stepped into, so many unfamiliar things and unfamiliar territory. But I had experienced the church stepping up and wrapping around my family. So that was another part of this whole model that, just drew me and grew that desire.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see a world where you're responding to a gap, like I need this, we need to get it in place, or where you're responding to like, I already see who the church can be and I want to call them to be that even more. So that's interesting to hear. Yeah. So then after that interest meeting, tell me like, what did you do next and what led you to ask these two to join you?
We don't have letters behind our name either. So.
He was actually like, any letters are out.
I was like, I can't have the letters because then I'll feel intimidated if I should do anything. I need people.
My letters were EXP, experience.
No, that's right. No, so I had determined in the fall of 2016 that we were going to launch in January of 2000. It was actually January 17th, I believe, if I remember right. So Monday, kind of the third Monday, I believe, of January that we officially launched a chapter of Safe Families in Central Ohio. So I put a lot of work in and just trying to connect with churches and people that would be interested in serving, and then organizations that would want to refer families to us. You know this well, Mel, and you too, that the juggling act of supply and demand. And had to make sure that there was enough people that could serve in the ministry, but had to make sure that there was enough organizations that would refer families to us, and for that not to be out of balance. So did a lot of work there, understanding the model of Safe Families, spent a lot more time down in Cincinnati. I started to gain some traction, and praise the Lord, Awaken was behind us again from Jump Street. From the very beginning, saying, we are for this. We're behind you, Phil. Let us know what we can do. And so it was a big deal when they said, we want to be the first church. We want to be the catalyst church to see this happen, and started here in Central Ohio. And so we knew that at some point we had to establish at least roughly 5 host families to really feel confident in starting to host kids. And so we started to put some work in there with Awaken, and again trying to connect with other churches that would show interest. But then in early spring of 2017, I realized that I can't do this alone. That I have to reach out to others to co-labor with. And these 2 were actually the first 2 people that came to mind.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. And I called them both the same day. I remember sitting on my front porch. And I remember I knew I wanted Lori, for sure, for a million different reasons. But we've served in ministries since, what was that, 2004?
7, I think.
I mean, we've been in vocational ministry together for a long time. And I knew the character that she had. Good people bring good things out, the good stored up in her heart. I knew the work ethic she had. And it's just someone that I've always enjoyed to co-labor with. Yeah. And I wanted to get in the trenches with her again. And so that was a huge win, just to my confidence. Yeah. To know that, man, the Lord's going to continue to add workers to the harvest field. And that same day, I reached out, called Mandy, thinking this was a long shot.
Because you had just met her at the interest
I
meeting?
met her and we had corresponded back and forth a couple times.
Yeah, but you knew she'd been praying.
But and I was like, man, here's this mom of like 1 million kids.
And Mandy has 17 kids, for those who don't know.
When I say 1 million, it's not that far off. Who has a world of experience. And I just knew she had so much, I could tell she had so much confidence in this work and what it is that she could bring to the table. And I'm just thinking she has to have 1 million people knocking on her door asking them to come work asking her to come work for them. And I remember thinking, this is a long shot, but what do I got to lose? Yeah. And at this point, I'm offering a part-time job, and you have to raise your own money. Yeah. You have to raise 80% of your salary.
It's an attractive benefits.
We were kind of crazy.
And I'm thinking, again, all the things that I said, she's got 1 million kids. She's, it's like, will she even have time to do something like this? And I remember one of the first things she said, I'm humbled that you would even ask me. At that point, I knew she was the right person. Yeah. To someone that has that level of expertise, who say, I feel humbled that you would ask me. And it was a no-brainer that I would ask her. And the Lord, in his grace, in his providence, he compelled them to say yes to that. And that, I think he came on staff, it was like May of 2017, I remember it. It was late spring, if I remember.
I think I was a little late. I said yes, but then it was a little later.
A little bit later. But it was late spring where they came on. So I'd been doing a decent amount of work in 2016, started in 2017 on my own. I was kind of co-laboring by myself. My wife was definitely supporting me in some ways. The leaders of my church definitely had my back. I felt the prayers, but I knew I needed co-laborers. Yeah. And both of them said yes, and it was a huge shot in the arm. It stiffened my spine. Yeah. There was a lot of confidence that I had moving forward, knowing that I wasn't going to be doing this alone, but I was going to be doing it with 2 solid people that love the Lord and wanted to see families together. Yeah.
So from your guys' perspective, what did those calls feel like? What were you thinking or processing, or how quick was your heart to say yes?
I was driving home from a speaking engagement, and I got the call, and I do remember that conversation well. And I told him, I said, I'm going to be I'm going to practice what we preach, and I'm going to take time to pray about this. But I can pretty much tell you my answer will be yes, because this is an answer to prayer for, 13 years. And
when you were praying, did you picture yourself being part of that
No.
launching team?
Never. I mean, I remember telling Phil at the end of the night of that interest meeting before I left, I was like, I hope I don't annoy him, but I'm going to wait around, because I told him, I said, I believe God has brought you here to do this, and I will do whatever I can to help. I'll just let me know. And by that, I was thinking, share with churches, spread the word, or what. Never did I dream. And truly am to this day. Sorry, I'm probably hitting my mic. To this day, I am still genuinely humbled that the Lord would allow me and that Phil would extend the opportunity. So I went home. I told my husband, I said, guess what? I'm praying about it today, but I think we already have our answer. And my husband looked at me, he goes, yeah, that's kind of, yeah. And so I think I called you back the next day and said, yeah, it's a definite yes.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I was just such an excitement, and to see the Lord working, and the fruit that was being produced, and his faithfulness.
Yeah.
So.
Lori?
I don't know how quickly I said yes, but you probably knew I was going to say yes, regardless of how quickly I said it. But I had
charm.
my parents were missionaries, so I grew up in a support raising world, and then I raised support in college and after college at the ministry with Phil, and was horrible at raising support.
Yeah, you were.
And I
You
was
were really
terrible.
bad.
I was like the worst. But the Lord provided.
Weren't you living on
Differently.
like $10 a day?
Oh yeah,
It's like-
like nothing.
Because you just didn't want to raise anymore?
No, just because I was horrible at it. But and I think for sure had some just bad theology probably around support raising, and had full-time jobs in the Columbus area, and was like, this is amazing to not have to like wonder how I'm going to pay for things, or how the Lord's going to provide. So it's kind of like, I'm never raising support again. This is sweet.
Yeah.
And I'll still do the Lord's work through social enterprises or PDHC or different things. But so it was definitely a question in my mind of like, I realized like I knew the work it took to raise support specifically for me and what that would look like. But yeah, I think I said yes pretty quickly and quit my full-time job, and looking back on it, see the Lord's faithfulness. I'm very thankful that I left that place and, said yes to then, I don't know, probably 7 months of primarily raising support was a big part of my job, which was hard, but saw the Lord provide in some powerful ways, and I think really redeemed support raising even for me through that time. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think one of the reasons that I wanted to like retell this part of the story, it matters so much, is because this ministry is built on the gospel of Jesus Christ and his calling to the church. It's also built on just the chemistry and culture that you three built together, and the way that you have set the stage then for what our staff is still like today. The fact that you three are still co-laboring together is astronomical. The turnover rate in nonprofits is really high. The average length of stay that a worker works for a nonprofit is 12 to 18 months. You guys are about to hit, I mean, if you start with your date, you're at like over 9 years already, but you're about to hit 8 years since we did our first, or no, we just hit 8
We
years.
just hit 8 years, this October.
Yeah, so 8 years since we started hosting the first kid, and here you all sit, and lots of things have happened in all your life since then. But I think this is really special for people to understand what God is doing now, is that it started here. And so tell me, like, what was that beginning like? Like, you came together for your first, staff meeting? Did you call it a staff meeting?
Who knows what we
I don't know, he called it something.
I probably made something.
He probably made
Yeah.
food.
Did
yeah.
Phil probably did
definitely-
something weird, like
He definitely fixed food. Well, first you got to know that when he called back and said, hey, Lori's in, she said yes. And I said, wonderful. And he was like, you're going to absolutely love Lori. And I'm like, great, I feel like I will. And yeah, I mean, 8 years later, she's one of my best friends. Not only do I get to work with her, and I would say the same about Phil, brother and dear friend and his family, and so just so grateful for that too. But yeah, I remember we all got together, went over to Phil's house, sat around his dining room table. He propped up a whiteboard behind us, and he goes, "Okay, I don't know how the Lord's going to do this, but I believe He will." And we're like, "Yep." And
If there wasn't a whiteboard at that first meeting, I would have
Yeah.
some questions.
Whiteboard and food. I think
Whiteboard
we're
and
probably
food.
the two.
and I
the two
think the
necessary
whiteboard might have been
things.
his kids that he stole.
Maybe. Yeah. It's
Our
like a little
whiteboards?
2x3.
Yeah.
It was
Are
a small
whiteboards
one.
and food part of our core values?
Yeah.
They should
Yes,
be.
yeah.
They should
There's
be.
an italics underneath.
Yeah, I remember that
what'd you
that
do?
first meeting. It was me going through the kind of the heart of the ministry.
So you're kind of
But-
like training them on what you
Yeah,
already
yeah,
learned from
kind of
Safe
the
Families.
ins and outs,
Yeah.
philosophy, our objectives, and stuff like that. But one thing that was really important to me is that it's not Phil's stamp on this ministry, but it's the Lord's stamp on it through us as a team. And one thing that was really important to me is that we set our core values. So we had our objectives, but core values. Who is it that we want to be as people within this organization that flows out of us as we empower churches and mobilize churches? And I remember actually that meeting did not take long for us to figure out our core values.
So in your
right
first
away.
staff meeting, you had the 5 core values we still have today?
That we still have today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Somewhere on some phone, I have a picture of
They're
it.
like written on a napkin somewhere.
No, a whiteboard.
Whiteboard. Yeah.
And as you know, it's a monthly rhythm. We look at these once a month as a staff. It's important to us that we are the people that we believe that the Lord calls us to be in this ministry. And so character matters way more than competency. And so we wanted to be the people that, again, the Lord desires us to be as we serve the church in this way. And that was just a really unifying moment for me, how quickly we came to those 5. And knowing that they were, it wasn't just a Phil thing. It was a thing that the Lord led us in together. And that was a really significant moment for me realizing this is going to work.
Yeah.
Like, it may take a while to get it up and running, but this is going to work.
Yeah.
And that was a really important moment.
Yeah. So the core values, you already had your objectives. They lined up with Safe Families at that time.
They were, yes, no.
Did you change
Jason,
some
we
wording
changed
already?
them.
We changed some wording. We had a 4th one. They had 3.
Oh,
we
they
had
only
a
had 3.
4th one.
I know we have 5 now. I
Yeah,
didn't know.
now we have 5. And so
What was the 4th one you added?
the trauma piece.
Prevent, reduce, and
yeah.
repair childhood trauma.
Yep.
Was that because of Mandy? Like, did
Yeah,
she
and,
help you
and
get
to be
there?
honest, that actually came a little bit not long after. It wasn't right away. That we added that not long after our first training, realizing that this needs to be a really key piece, a component of what we did. To be honest, not to get into too much of the details, the framework I got in which to operate a chapter was kind of a joke.
Yeah.
The support I got was really just learning from Chris, like what worked and what
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah.
And that's and to be honest, we've talked about this before. If I would have got a manual of how to run a chapter, I wouldn't. I probably
have read it.
I would have gotten overwhelmed and be like, "This isn't me.
Yeah.
This is not my wiring.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
not how I
Yeah.
operate. Just give me the big picture." And that's part of
Yeah.
I think the providence of the Lord setting up with Chris. Chris just kind of, I think he sensed that in me that I
Yeah.
didn't need the details.
Yeah, don't kill him
Just
with
kind of
details.
tell me what the day-to-day looks like, kind of what you hope to accomplish, and let me free. Like, just let
Yeah.
me roam. And I'm really thankful for that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Again, interesting to think about as we pursue growing in other places. It's like there are certain kinds of people who may be the best directors in the world that
Yeah.
we could raise up who like do not want a manual from us.
Yep.
But we're like trying to figure out how to have these
Correct,
manuals
yeah.
and plans and
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
that's a
yeah,
good
praise
point.
the Lord for it's like all these little nuanced
Yeah.
things that God did that brought just the right people to the table and,
Yeah.
and released them to do his work,
Yeah.
which is super cool. Okay, so core values, objectives, mission and vision statement. Is that happening at this first meeting already?
Vision. Yeah, we didn't have a vision statement at that time. We had the mission statement, and that was just something. It just made. I don't think that came from Safe Families. It's just something that made sense. Like, oh, it's family
Yeah.
preservation through biblical hospitality.
Yeah. Well, and now there's all these like books and studies done on like how important it is to use less words in
Yeah.
those. And you know, I do a lot more of this than you. Go like meet with other nonprofits and talk about things like creating a mission or vision statement.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, somehow Phil at this table came like years and years ago it's like it just keeps fitting. It keeps working even as the industry grows and changes around us. It's like, man, the Lord just made it the right thing right then. And I know some of it was your experience in some nonprofit work before that too. But it also just was right. Family preservation through biblical hospitality. It's just super simple.
Lord is so faithful.
So faithful.
Incredibly faithful.
Yeah.
Yep.